I'm Christy Marchese, and this is Have You Seen My Film, a Kinema podcast on marketing and distribution. And I am here with truly one of my favorite people, Kayla Kaipolani Carroll. Hi, Kayla.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Kayla and I have known each other a long time. I always like to tell the story. Like, we met when she was an intern and at Picture Motion, and she's just so good at everything she does. We didn't even have a specific job opening. I was like, could you please stay? Like, we'll make a job for you. So I've had the pleasure of working with her over the years, and she's now head of community, working closely with our screening hosts and filmmakers at Kinema. So the topic of this show is going to be frequently asked questions, which was a great idea that came up in a meeting, partially because of a lot of the work you do. I probably should mention that we are in a new studio space. This is a makeshift studio we were putting together. We thought it'd be fun to try and turn one of the conference rooms into an actual podcast studio. So we're doing this different camera setup. We got Kayla over here. We don't know where to look. We're kind of uncomfortable, but we're doing it anyway because we want to see if we could use this cool space. So what were we saying? Was I explaining what the show was?
Yeah. So frequently asked questions.
That's
basically.
Right. Basically. And you get a lot of the frequently asked questions. We also sent an email out to all of the filmmakers in the industry in Kinema to ask what questions should we ask on this podcast or who should we interview? And we actually got a lot of technical questions back and specific to how and why they should work with Kinema. So we've structured this to be a list of kind of the 6 most commonly asked questions, or kind of grouped in those questions that we get from filmmakers, and we'll dabble in some of the audience questions.
Yeah, I think a lot of these come up too when we have intro calls with filmmakers or onboarding calls, helping people through their onboarding with Kinema and how best to use the platform. So we'll kind of go into some of that too.
I think oftentimes, like, I'll talk to filmmakers when they're thinking about it, or kind of they might have some early questions. I know you do too. On email, we'll get on the phone sometimes, or a Zoom. Once they're ready to onboard, then you're really kind of taking them through the full process. So, and our screening hosts when they set up events, and our audience members when they're trying to find their ticket.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So here's how we're going to set this up. We have the 6 questions. We have notes on this. We're going to be looking at our phones. I don't know which camera to look at as we do with this 3 camera setup. So we're also going to try and look at each other. All right. Do you want to do the first one?
Yes, sure.
Okay.
So our first question is, how do I know if my film is right for Kinema?
How do we know?
And I think there's multiple parts to this.
Okay, good. Should I start or should you start?
I'll start.
Okay, great.
I think the number one thing is to have a targeted audience and community set up. So either you already kind of have that outreach started and you've you know who you're going out to, you know who you want to have either be viewing your film, hosting screenings, but you might not have started that outreach yet, and you might have just targeted it and you have it all set up. But either way, you kind of need to know who you're going out to and who you're aiming for.
Exactly. Who is the audience? If you're ready, if your page is already up on Kinema, and you don't know who the audience is yet, it might be a little bit late to start thinking. But it's never too late to start planning. Okay, cool. So thinking about community, goals. We talk about this a lot. I think that was maybe our second or third podcast where we talked to John Reese, who's an amazing distribution strategist, about setting goals. So I think being very, very clear about what your intention is for using the Kinema platform. We often get asked, and I think we'll answer later, what does success look like? Or what are some revenue examples? And they really depend on your goals, because we have some filmmakers that are definitely dedicated to making money, which is great, paying back investors, finding profitability. And then others that are looking for impact. It's really about reach and making sure people see the film and take an action afterwards. For others, it's just audience, as many people as possible, make the film as affordable or free to reach as many people. What was the other one? Career. So for some filmmakers, this is a part of their career plan, kind of getting their name out there, getting some press around it. So I think those are kind of the 4 goals to focus on.
I think another one is also sometimes it's just having a great place for your film to live. Maybe it's had its great life cycle. It's done a lot of cool things with this distribution, and now you don't want to just have it nowhere. So have it on Kinema.
We were saying that too. Someone's okay, my film is kind of ending its life on the SVOD platform, or I didn't get the offers that I wanted, but I don't want to just relegate to sending somebody a link. So, which is also what we're trying to do, is create a very cinematic space for these films to live and thrive.
Yes, which I think comes down to another question we get is, do we curate?
Oh yeah, that's true. We do curate. So yes, we do. So we do have a standard. We have a policy. The film has to be an actual film that's got to tell a story or series. It can be short or feature. It has to be festival quality. And I know that can be subjective. It doesn't mean that your film has definitely gotten to a festival, but it probably has at least one festival under its belt. Or is maybe at that festival quality, or is from a festival filmmaker that is choosing to skip festivals this go around. And of course, we have a policy of no propaganda, no hate speech, no targeting certain communities. And yes, so we do have a level of curation.
Yeah. And I think it's important too, because I think, most filmmakers want to be a part of something, and we want also to kind of like help curate that community.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're doing shout outs on our social media, and, we have all these conversations with filmmakers. So we really are trying to build more than just like a tool, but it's a place for you to feel like you kind of belong and have, a place among other filmmakers and great films.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was trying to describe that to someone, like, it's not just like a video storytelling. It's like the intention is to have an arc or to like express something. Otherwise it could just be like a how-to video or like stuff you see on social media. So it's a good point. And also for audiences, like, again, we're in the business of making audiences happy too. We want to connect them with filmmakers. So we have to have certain level quality film because our audiences want that too. What else do we have? Oh yeah. Curation. And ooh, do we have red flags in here?
Yes, we do. So if you, like we said, if you can't articulate your specific audience, I like this one. If you expect, if you build it, they will come. Just put it out there and expect that, something will happen with it. Or maybe you see all these other films with great goals and great success, and you're like, oh, that's great. I'll just have any of that. If one of those things happens to me, that's great. That is great, but you do need to kind of have a goal and like work towards it somewhat, which also comes down to like having some marketing plan, some kind of social media presence, and someone, either it's you or someone you hire or an intern or something, who's doing some work around the film to kind of promote it or do outreach. There is some time that needs to be put into it.
I think, no, you're totally right. We talked to a couple people earlier in this podcast. I think it was Dor Dotson and Matt Delman, who are an amazing duo that do social media and digital advertising. And they gave some great advice for how to do it yourself. And someone gave me advice a while ago at Picture Motion, like the bare minimum, if someone has just no time, is like spend 20 minutes twice a day, like morning and evening. And don't just post, but like engage, comment. Oh, Steven, the filmmaker who was on, Stephen Meyer, talked about using LinkedIn. Talk to everybody. Like, the engagement helps. So even if you don't have the budget for digital advertising, you can spend time engaging with your followers and growing that following and collaborating with other filmmakers and reposting and doing collaboration posts so you can share in each other's audiences. Okay, I'll ask this one. Can I put my film online if I still want to get traditional distribution? We get this one a lot. Is it going to affect my chances to be acquired or get a deal? And it's kind of like a mixed answer here. So we do have films that have come on. There are some distributors who say, no, if your film is widely available, of course, like it makes it harder for us to get it into a theater and then market to an audience and get them to show up if it's already online everywhere. So that makes total sense. I'm personally of the belief, I think you are too, of some of these pre-screenings are great word of mouth. So if you're doing in-person screenings like a festival tour, it's helping get people excited about your film, and they'll be posting about it. If you're collecting email addresses, they could become marketers for you. So I'm of the belief that non-theatrical in-person screenings actually really help show that there's interest in your film. Now, of course, if you're doing like 1 million of those, that would be amazing. But that might take, what's the word I'm looking for? Captivate?
Yeah, you can capitalize on...
Capitalize? I feel like I'm losing my grip on the English language. I can't remember. Whatever, it's going to affect your outcome later.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because the answer is yes, you can have your film on Kinema if you're still looking for other traditional distribution. But I think there's different ways to go about it. And one thing you always say is like, check your contracts, right? Like double check your contracts, communicate, make sure you know like what rights you do retain.
Carve out those rights if you can. Carve out your non-theatrical. All right, someone that's carved out a number. It was like 30 to 50 in-person screenings, like from their digital distributor, from their streaming partner.
Yeah.
So, and you can go in private mode.
Yeah, we have lots of tools.
Yeah, to talk about those.
Yeah, so we have lots of tools that you can use, and a lot of our filmmakers do this. I feel like this is utilized, maybe 25% of the time when filmmakers come on. And sometimes you use different windows. So filmmakers aren't always just coming on in private mode and staying that way, but maybe that's the first iteration of their campaign.
Yep.
But yeah, so private mode is great. It just means that your film's not going to be listed on the Kinema platform. They can't be searched for, but you will have a film page. So that link, that unique link, can be shared with whoever you want to be hosting screenings, and you can kind of be really
selective.
Yeah, selective on who gets the link, who gets to host a screening. And we have lots of other tools on how you can like make your availability windows really specific. So maybe you just want to allow in-person screenings, have your film in private mode. So you have each person who comes to you, you vetted them. You say, okay, I want them to host a screening. You can send them that private page. and they can book. And you'll also let us know. So when we're approving these screenings and making sure that everything is good, there's nothing slips through the cracks. So there's lots of ways you can kind of manage that. And
we have a notes section. So anytime a screening comes through for a film, we can see in the notes, like, are there extra boundaries or rules around the screening booking we need to pay attention to?
Yeah.
So,
and when someone tells us that, we like take it seriously. Like if it's something weird comes in, we're like, you can't just take this film.
Exactly. Kayla's very, very good police force blocking the film from blocking that booking from coming through if it's not perfectly adequate. Okay. What else there's something else about private mode. Oh, one thing you can do that we really recommend as soon as you're ready to talk about your film, have your website and put a Google form up there to collect interest from people who might want to have a screening. So some of those organizations might have an annual event that's coming around again once a year, annual. And you don't want to miss that opportunity because they really want to show your film, but you're still in the festival circuit or you're still working out a deal. You might not want to miss that opportunity to have that screening there. So you can at least collect that information and then decide later if you want to allow them to book through us. All right, what's next?
Okay, why do you cost money?
Oh, that's my favorite. We would love to do everything for free. We wish we could.
Christy really does want to do everything for free.
Because I know Rich, our co-founder and COO, keeps saying, stop giving everything away for free. I don't. I promise, not all the time, but we wish we could. So we have some really hard costs. When it comes to streaming, we pay AWS, we pay for a CDN network, we pay for encoding and securing those films, we pay for the DRM. We try and build that into the price as minimally as possible, but also pay for humans, customer service. Like, we really care about what we build, and we care about being able to market and do resources like the podcast, and have our team, especially Kayla here, who really leads the force on answering and being the first line of defense for every audience member who can't find a ticket or their rental or mistype their email address, and for every screening host who has 100 questions before they book the screening. So it's really like the people here, as I hit the microphone, the people here are why we do like have to charge something. And we keep it very minimal.
Yeah. And I think it also makes us unique that we do have like that level of customer service and that we help with onboarding, and we're really trying to like make a connection with the filmmakers who are on the platform.
And we look at it as like you can participate in all types of distribution. There's direct distribution, we'll call it traditional distribution. Some people call it hybrid distribution, doing a bit of the both. Peter Broderick was on the podcast earlier, called it hybrid distribution. And so, I mean, our fees are going to be minimal. We're doing 99-cent transactions for rentals, 10 to 20% for licensed events, the ticketed events. The rest go to the filmmakers or the rights holder. And then we do have like a flat annual fee just to like get onboarded. And it also, I say this to a lot of filmmakers, that fee also just helps ensure that like we're working with someone who's as committed as us to help this film be successful. It breaks down to $22 a month or like $270. So we don't think it's too much of a hurdle, but it's also enough that if you're not willing to invest $270 in the success of your film, then like we might not be the best partner to help on your release. And I think we look at like sales agents do 15 to 20%. We put some notes down. Distributors maybe do like 30 to 40%, and there's recouping of expenses. And that's not to do a direct comparison because they're very different and you can work with everybody in the space. But we're conscious of that when we're setting our pricing and our percentages.
Yeah, I think we're a good alternative sometimes when you're looking at that. And, I think so many times now distributors are like, here, pay us this much money to have us on the platform.
Yay.
And, it might just sit there. So
it's true. We've seen that there's one, this is like a popular streaming platform, and now I can't out them, but it was a popular streaming platform that we all probably have on our TVs that you now pay this distributor to put your film up. And that's how the shift has changed from the availability of like great content, which there's a lot of great stories out right now. And then the streamers having just less money to acquire and trying to shift the model a bit. So that brings us to our next question, which is how much money will I make? Which is one of my favorite questions that we get from filmmakers.
Like every film is going to be so different.
Yes,
so
that's exactly it.
How much money can you make? I think it really depends on your film, your goals, the effort you can put into it. And also just every film is going to be different. Some subject areas also just are more bigger money makers and other ones are not. And also who's going to be paying to host your film? Do those organizations have the money for larger licensing fees? All of those things are something to consider. And every campaign and film is just going to be different.
It's exactly it. Going back to the goals conversation. If your goal is impact our audience and not revenue, you're going to be on the lower end. Like we have some films that are fully sponsored, so they make no money, but they're covered. Their fees are covered by a nonprofit or foundation sponsor. To give some like hard numbers. I don't know if these sirens are getting picked up here. This is so fun. We said this earlier. We feel like we're on TRL. Well, your phrase. I said I feel like I'm on TRL, and Kayla, who's much younger than me, said, "What is TRL?" We're just gonna, it's very offensive.
At least I knew what MTV was.
You did know what MTV was. That's cool. Okay. Someone
I'm in
recently
between.
did not. You're the in-between generation. So now I forgot what I was going to say. Costs?
Yes. Examples, some case studies.
Thank you. Examples and case studies. So we do give some like hard numbers. So in general, like about half the films on our platform are our library films. So they book kind of periodically or seasonally. And they usually come from the distributors that we do love and work with. And then for the films that are the really, really active filmmaker, there's going to be a bit of a range. The kind of top end, they're going to make over 150 and 200,000. And they're going to be the ones that are very, very focused and dedicated with a strong strategy, specific audience, right pricing, at least one support person. And then in each one of those films has been very, very different. I think the kind of like the more likely range is more like the probably 30 to 50K. And that's like, it's done well. This is through licensing and ticketed events and direct audience rentals. And it's still probably like a middle chunk, but then the majority are going to be under that. It's going to be a smaller percentage. They might be charging only $50 for a licensing fee because that's not a main goal. And maybe they do 10 of those, maybe they do 1,000 of those. So again, we also make a calculator or Kinema calculator. So when you get the rate card form from us on one of those tabs, you can calculate, okay, how many rentals do I need to get at what price point in order to get my achieved goal? How many screenings do I need to book every month in order to make this much money? So we try and help you calculate that so you can work backwards and say, now how much outreach do I need to do? How many partners do I need to have on board? Do I need to have a bigger team? And if I can't do that, how do I adjust my goals accordingly? So it's a range. I wish, maybe in the next couple of years, we'll be able to say definitively every single filmmaker will make X amount of dollars.
Well, I think also we would love that. Like we want the films to make money. We are revenue share. Like we want films to do their best. So
we completely agree. Does Kinema market my film? How much work do I need to put into this? This is question number 5.
Yes, this is a great question. So we aren't like a marketer. We're not here to be marketing your film, and we're not doing marketing for your film. But we love to shout out your film. We love to include films in our own marketing. We have full control of our editorial calendar. So we will often put films on our social media and our newsletter. And we love when filmmakers are communicating with us about what's going on with their campaign.
Yes.
Is there some cool event that you have going on that you'd love us to promote? And you have maybe like a special offer that you have going on right now. Maybe you're doing speaking engagements for your hosts. Let us know. We want to share that with our wider audience.
Special holidays. We have a film coming up that's like, I want to do a big event on Trans Day of Visibility. It's Labor Day weekend is coming up. Any sort of holidays that they tie to your film, like help let us know. Just because we see a lot of stuff come through, we want to be supportive of as much as possible. But also hard for us to remember all the different holidays and how they apply to the films. And I also add, like, our email list is kind of our biggest way that we market. Because it's when we market, we don't necessarily just market the brand of Kinema. We're really marketing the films on Kinema. Like when we market for us, it is for those films, but we won't take the lead of being your outreach coordinator, your tour manager, or head strategist. But, and Kayla, you were the one that said this, like, which I think was a game changer. You're like, I want to get on the phone with every filmmaker. Like one of us has to get on the phone to do at least one strategy phone call before they kind of kick it off. Partially just because we think that we may communicate things well, but they might not be heard the same way, or we didn't do it properly. And so it's better to have a conversation so we can make sure everyone is set up for success. And it saves us time downstream.
Yeah, it does. We want to make sure that like we know what your goals are. And like Christy said earlier, we have a little area where we can write notes in for each film. So if there is something important that we should know and keep an eye out for, I want to know that, and I want to have that in the film file. And like, it's just good to have that communication going. So don't feel afraid to reach out and, speak to us.
We say you don't get what you don't ask for. And we'll always say no if we can't do it.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Question number 6. I feel like I want to ask this one of Kayla because you make everybody's life easier. How do you make my life easier? If I'm a filmmaker, this is the question we got for number 6.
Yes. This is a great question. Basically, like we are your back office. We kind of allow you to have full control over your independent distribution. So as we mentioned earlier, like you're able to do a lot of customization on the back end, set your availability windows, do all of that stuff. You can kind of set what types of screenings you're having. Maybe you're not having screenings. Maybe you're just having it available for TVOD, Watch Now rentals. Maybe it's only virtual screenings, so you can kind of adjust all of that. You also have a full reports dashboard, which is also really great. I think you can see who booked your film, what you can see exactly like what their event was, all the information, all their attendees, email addresses, which is obviously very helpful. So all of that's available there. And then also you get us, like we've been saying, you know, we want to have a full communication pattern with you, and we want to be checking in. And we also take a lot off of your plate. So if you are thinking of like a screening tour, obviously we aren't going to run that for you, but we can be a really great tool for you to kind of be a little more hands off. So you can have a link on your website that says, you know, click here to book a screening of this film. And then it takes you to Kinema. And then, you know, from there, you could kind of be hands off. So we are going to help them, all of your hosts, book their screening. We have a full support page that is really robust. So it answers most questions, and you're free to use.
We take a lot of time on that page. We care a lot about making sure all the information's there.
We keep it updated. And you can use those in your own guides and on your website if you want to give more hand-holding. But we do most of that hand-holding. And we will communicate with your hosts. A question I get a lot from filmmakers is, or not even a question, but a concern, is they will say, well, like my film, you know, with our target audience, we don't feel like they're going to be great at using a tech platform. They're older, you know, they are like volunteers at organizations and nonprofits. And I'm like, actually, you shouldn't worry at all, because this is maybe like a bulk of our hosts. This is a lot of who we work with. And it's true that sometimes they do come to us and they're like, I'm confused. I'm on step 2 of booking a screening. I don't know what my org type is. But that's why we're here. They can reach out to us. We have our support email. We have a chat bot there that we also can see and we can respond to. So we're there to do all that hand holding, and that saves you a lot of time.
Yes, it does. I've done the hand holding. It's also, when we set it up, you set up your pricing, your rate card, like your rules around the film. And then if someone is like pushing back and needs something different than what you've already set up, like they want to do it outside your screening window, or they want a discount on something, we get to kind of be that first line of defense to be like, well, these are the terms. And then if they push back, we go to you, the filmmaker, and say, would you like to offer a discount? Can you go outside the screening range? And then if it's approved, you get to be the good guy. You're the good guy that says, okay, well, the filmmaker says this is okay. So yes. And if you don't want it to happen, then we get to be the bad guy and say, like, we're so sorry, we're not able to make any changes at this time. So like think of us as like, yes, the back office, the support team, and also like your allies in making sure your hosts and your audiences have a great experience.
Yeah, we do handle all of those little questions that will take up more of your time. So we do save a lot of time in that way.
And sometimes on 10 p.m. on a Thursday night, when someone really can't find their ticket, Kayla will be hand-holding an audience member through her 2 or 3 email addresses to help her find that ticket.
Yes, so that she can join the event.
So she can join the event.
Yeah.
So cool. Did I miss any questions? Any other frequently asked questions? I think we had something, you covered the customization.
I think one question that kind of comes up a lot is how to market my film if I don't have a large budget, or maybe I used up my marketing budget and now I'm coming on to Kinema and I'm wanting to have like a new stage for my film. And, you know, I don't really have, what do I prioritize? Even if I do have a small budget, what do I prioritize? So I think that's one that comes up a lot.
Oh, that's true. Yes. I feel like we're trying to do more and more podcast episodes of that. I think we're gonna do a deeper one of like micro budget.
Yeah.
Like how do you do it? It is, I think some of the things we found are, besides being clear about goals and audience, publicity, some of it, publicists are the best. They know what they're doing. They have the contacts and the strategy, but you can also pitch yourself. Like there is a way to you know, for those of you who are AI friendly, you can work with your chatbot to come up with your pitch, to come up with your press release, your talking points, and kind of the list of targets for that. And then there's also different contractors you can work with, even if it's just a few hours a week. I think it's in graphic. I do think graphic design, actually, one of the things that can go a long way is having enough content to post on your social feeds, whether it's making the graphics yourself or just pulling stills from your film with a quote from it. You have to, I think the marketing world, it's like 7 touch points before someone decides to purchase something. They need to experience your film 7 times before they decide that maybe this is the time that they want to watch it, rent it, or buy it.
Yeah.
So any other tips?
I think similar to that, like just being really cognizant and aware of the materials that you are using and that you have. So I think that email outreach is actually huge, and that a lot of people underutilize it or like think, oh, that's secondary to social media. But especially for films where you are targeting nonprofits and organizations, build that email list, spend time doing outreach, and even more importantly, spend time crafting that outreach email. Keep it short and sweet.
Yes,
and
short.
Keep it direct. Don't put too much info in one email.
Don't make a paragraph.
Really spend time creating that and crafting all of your materials. I think even having like a 1-pager host guide, things like that. We have a place to keep that on Kinema. So once your host books a screening, they will have access to all of your materials, whether that's like Q&As that they can, take advantage of after, discussion guides, even just like I said, how to host guide, all of that. So creating those materials and having them well crafted and like your social media and everything, just that is helpful.
And they're meant to like create curiosity in like your marketing. I think oftentimes we'll see most of the messaging is just watch my film, like it's an action. Social media is an entertainment platform. You need to entertain your audience too. Like, so create curiosity, give them nuggets, like pull them in a little bit. If you're just going to your email list or your partners when there's something that you need them to do for you, it's gonna be a lot harder to pull them along. So
yeah,
cool.
Great.
I think we covered a lot.
Yeah.
Anything else we need to share about frequently asked questions, things filmmakers should know about Kinema?
No, just send over your questions and don't be afraid to reach out if you're like kind of interested in Kinema and you're a filmmaker and you're like, I don't know if this is right for me. Just send us an email. To get a hold of me, you just do support@kinema.com or films@kinema.com for filmmakers specifically.
Yeah, if you're a filmmaker, films@kinema.com.
And we will be there to, hop on the phone and give you more information because we can only do so much.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Kayla.
Yay.
Thank you so much. I thank you for like supporting all the filmmakers that we work with. Thank you for doing this kind of first ever trying to set up a 3-camera studio in Union Square. We are in our offices. We're at the CKBG, Comos, and Doladera offices. And thank you to Tim Knight, who has been helping us with the full tech setup here. And thank you to you, filmmakers who make these incredible films. We appreciate you.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Adore you.
And that's our episode. Thank you to our special guest, our producer and editor, Ron Pissarro, and you, the filmmakers, creators, marketers, and distributors that are dedicated to connecting audiences with great films.